Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Friday edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I am your host, Chuck Fulkerson. Having an amazing Friday morning. I got the little dude hanging out. He's getting ready for his baseball tournament, as we have our baseball tournament tomorrow, so Charlie's excited. But let's do what we do each and every day, looking at the same 10 to 12 futures markets, trying to find breakouts and turning points in the markets. If you're new to the channel, please do me a favor, click that subscribe button down below so that you get the updates as they happen. So let's dive right in. Looking first at the S&P. So yesterday, the market just continued its move higher, and we had a dashed line set up for a potential reversal. And one of the things that I pointed out yesterday was we are definitely not confirming this move. This move is continuing to go up, but it's going up on a weakening momentum. We had a little news yesterday that came out regarding the inflation numbers that helped to drive it a bit higher. But this is why we had a dashed line up here for this potential reversal in the S&P. And the dashed line means we get short as it comes in, and then we happen to get the entry as it comes back out. Well, this is an example of it came in, but it never came back out. Even if I go to the 15-minute chart, you see that it came into the area and hung around, got what, to the peak, got one red candle in here, and then boom, blew right through it and continued its rally higher. So this is an example of following the plan where you should not have ever gotten into this trade, and so you should be clear of any loss in that example. So we're continuing our march higher. No reason really to change our bias at the moment. This is continuing its run. If you think that we may get that, we've been having end of the week sell-offs. If you think that we may get that end of the week sell-off, then you're counter trend now at this point. If you do that, since we definitely have officially with higher swing highs, higher swing lows, switched trend direction again. On the 4-hour, we have a higher swing high and a higher swing low. It's the first true example of that we've had in quite a while. And we have broken above this area of resistance right here. Well, I guess we're sitting right at that area of resistance. So there is room in this for the 4-hour chart for price to continue to march a bit higher on the S&P. If you think that we may get a sell-off today, I wouldn't take the sell-off until we broke below this 2713 area at least. And then I think there's room for it to run, 10 points or so down to this range in here, if you wanted to look at that as an opportunity. Now, in the Nasdaq, we're still, frankly, in the Nasdaq, we got long back here. And if you happen to join us on that long, then you're still in that position, I would hope. If you didn't catch the long, then we got another opportunity to go long on the breakout above 68.69, and now it's moved 110 points since that area. So both opportunities are very strong. And now, needless to say, if you do decide to get short on the S&P trade, you'll probably have hit your stop out on the Nasdaq trade, as you should be moving your stop up below swing lows at this point and managing that position. So overall, that's our setup, and the Nasdaq. Many people aren't holding things over the weekend. It's up to you whether you hold it over the weekend or not. Check your own risk tolerances. Crude oil. So crude, yesterday we had mentioned that weakening momentum again, and we did get a pretty big sell-off yesterday morning. Before then, a little bit of a rally later in the morning. And so now it's just kind of, we've got really this kind of pinching here a little bit. So we could break one way or the other on this. I'm actually going to leave this one alone. I think we've had a lot of movement in crude. I'm gonna remove both of those lines. I'm going to leave this one alone. I would be much more apt to see a good potential reversal trade in crude if something came up and gave me a good reversal. And you've got to look somewhere maybe down in this region as a reversal point. But there's nothing that sticks out that I like enough to be willing to take the risk, as all these levels have been retested on each other. So I'm going to leave crude alone for today. Don't see really much happening there. Gold, let's look at our gold trade. So gold, we finally, after weeks and weeks and weeks of waiting, hit our area. Now, this area hit and immediately came down. Now, where did it come down to? If we zoom in on this a little bit, you'll be able to see that it did come to its opposing fair price value area. So We came up into this region, bounced down, came out it again, and came back down to this fair price value area to give you a potentially little profitable trade. Moved for a nice little 3-to-1, maybe a 2-to-1 out of that area. I'm okay, by the way, very okay taking 2-to-1 trades as long as I'm going to be right more often than I'm wrong. Which by sticking to larger time periods and being more selective on your trades, you're going to have a better batting average, if you will. Now we're sitting in an area that could be a potential breakout long. I'd like to see us fall a little bit more before I use this area as a long breakout. I'm not quite willing yet to look at it for that, but I will come into this area here. This area kind of acting as a ceiling, and we all know that if it breaks through the ceiling, which way is it probably going to go? Up. That's right. It's probably going to go up because it goes up once it breaks through the ceiling, and it continues its march higher. All right, let's look at our bonds and currency markets, which did have some movements yesterday. And these ones were bond market, we are still above our breakout area. The Aussie hit the stop out right away. So the Aussie came up into the area and then just blew right through it. So the Aussie definitely did not work out yesterday. Not a whole lot of favor in that one. In the euro level, price came down to its opposing fair price value area. This was another one that was very small profit on this one because it was a very, very tight little level. And as we're continuing its march up, it's getting a little bit weaker.
Daddy, is there a ceiling on this one?
Good question. So is there a ceiling? Well, we had a breakout trade way up here, but there could be a ceiling right here because you see, if I draw a line straight across, you see how this was the floor, the floor, the floor, and if I fall through the floor, because right now, Charlie, we're sitting on the second floor. If I fall through the floor, what will be above us? A brand new what?
Floor.
Well, we'll be standing on a new floor, but what will be above our heads if I fall through the floor? A ceiling, right?
A ceiling that's broken.
A broken ceiling, you're right. So now, if we break through this ceiling again, it has room to keep going which way?
Up, up, up.
Right. So this could be an opportunity, if you're so inclined, to those of you who are at home, to look for this thing to rally a bit higher. I'm not so sure I'm in love with that idea at the moment because I'd want to see this. It's not a super clean breakout right through here, and I'd like to see it come down from price a little more from where we are there. But I think it could still be an effective breakout. Nice eye, Charlie. Good job finding that one. All right, next, the Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar as well, price came into the level. Now, this one did not quite reach its fair price value area, the opposing fair price area here for the profit objective. So this one, to hit its profit objective, it would have had to make it to here and did not quite get there. So this one was a stop out for a lot of people, depending on how you manage your trades. Maybe you move your stop to break even pretty quickly, and if that's the case, then maybe you got stopped out. But for the most part, this one probably stopped you out for a small loss. That's okay. I'll take win some, you lose some, and as long as that big winner, which might be your Nasdaq trade, can keep everything above board for the week.
Look at that floor. It's so low. Imagine if that was a ceiling.
Well, that is pretty low. This is way down here. Are you talking about this one way down here?
Yep.
Yeah, that one's way down there. Now, look, we did finally in the Canadian dollar break out above this ceiling. So there is something to be said for that old ceiling then acted as the new floor, and price is continuing to rally from there. So though I'm not a full believer in the concepts of support and resistance, because I don't think that all of them hold true, I am a believer in understanding the psychology of additional orders being placed, not just the ones that are left behind, because we don't know for certain about the ones that are being placed. But when you are trading with a breakout style, you've got to have that assumption of orders left behind, as well as orders that are being added into the queue for that next possible movement. All right, so last but certainly not least, let's take a look at the Great British Pound and the Japanese Yen. Great British Pound, we still have an area for potential reversal above us here. Price has really just been chopping around, not a whole lot of movement on that one. Japanese Yen, we've got a breakout area set up right here, but we've not quite reached that area. I would possibly see a potential reversal right here for somebody who is so inclined to take that one. I am not completely in love with it, so I'm going to change it to a dashed line.
Dashed line?
Yeah, dashed line. So in a dashed line, what that means is that we're not... So this is the top of a slide, right? So who takes over at the top of a slide, Charlie?
The Bears. You told me that almost every single podcast.
I know. So what button do we push when the Bears take over?
Sell.
Sell. Well, but we're not so sure that this is a good slide because there's a couple reasons we're not sure it's a good slide. And the reason is that we're going up the mountain pretty slowly. So when it gets to this slide, we're not just going to push the sell button. We're going to wait for it to start going down, and then we'll push the sell button. That's what the dashed lines do. We allow price to come into the area, and then we push the sell button as it comes back out. So, all right, everybody. Well, that's about all the time I have for today. Now that it officially is Friday, yesterday I got my wires all crossed. So we will be back tomorrow on the weekend edition. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today, and I will see you on the weekend edition.